the consumers, not only the traffickers. In the same peak as representative of the United Nations in some meetings where you could see how we have a big applause to the dictators. Everything is bravo, everything is okay, go ahead, you are doing fine, like Canada or some other European countries like Italy, which hasn't legalized the drugs. The drugs are prohibited everywhere, in Holanda as well. But they have started experimenting with some alternatives. Yes. The criminals of the international politics. This is what happens in those United Nations. The struggle, the prohibitionist struggle against the drugs is just a pretext in many countries of the world to set in new stages and fairy tales against the actives of human rights, against the people that do not agree with those regimes. I think that, therefore, I think that it's important to try to establish debates, the debates that we have, each of us in our own countries, can take place as well in international forum in the struggle against drugs. As far as the prohibitionism is concerned, the anti-prohibitionist is not an ideology, a totalitarian. It's not an ideology, but we cannot ignore the concrete results. We, as anti-prohibitionists, we do not have a unique model of legalization, the same for the whole world. We think that we need trials. There are different traditions in different countries. Therefore, we are not. We don't have the same ideology, but what we ask from you is that in Vienna, in this coming April, there will be a meeting of the Commission on Drugs. It would be a wonderful occasion. Instead of asking for, begging for more money, more weapons, more human beings, more bureaucrats facing the fake, we have to make an assessment of the alternate policies that are feasible, that are possible to develop, to get rid of objectives as the drug trade, but to give out a good conscience at a very cheap price, without considering the price of the victims of such a law system. Then I think that it is important, and I want to underline it, what I have said yesterday and was said again by Ethan Nadelman this morning. I think that is important today. A wonderful occasion like the one that we have to talk. How can we organize not only our national struggles, but how can we unite our own efforts at international level? As At the beginning, I said I am coordinating legislators everywhere in order to propose a text, a parliamentary motion that asks quite a few things, but mainly two. That text was duly signed for 109 parliamentaries from the European Parliament, but I think that I will get more than another 100 from all over the world, and I think that this text basically requires the General Secretary of the United Nations, Mr. Kofi Annan, to act, to take measures more efficient, the struggle against the organized criminal organizations, to establish a control system, legal regulations for the selling and using of actual illegal substances, named or called drugs. The parliamentaries, they required that the conventions of the United Nations and the member states of the UN, the start of a process of revision, of the intermediate revision of the politics on drugs, as will be set in Vienna. So this will be deeply modified, changed, in order to reclassify those substances and to make the use of drugs legal for different uses from the medical point of view, or medical uses. Then, what I am concerned about saying is that we have two levels of possible action. One action would be the political, parliamentary action, clear, transparent, not only to achieve the tolerance for the consumers of the rich countries, that is very good, but also to ask for the legalization of drugs, to ask to put a final end to this fight, for this struggle. These policies are really criminal policies. We do not have to be afraid to say so. When a policies produce dead people because they cannot control the quality of such circumstances, dead people from the mafia, from violence, from many causes, many reasons. We are afraid that to say that these policies are very criminal policies. There is also a political action. There is also a great possibility for the governments in the United Nations, because also in wide open governments, in the peak, in the highest level
meetings,
we cannot say that we are ashamed to say what Switzerland, Sweden, Canada are doing in order to legalize the drugs. They are afraid. They don't want to say anything because they are afraid of being called friend of the narco dealers. I think that is all the way around.